Hippos are some of the most famous animals in Africa. Because of their appearance, many people think they're clumsy and even funny. But there's little funny about these monsters. They're capable of ferociously massacring antelope, zebra, rhino, buffalo, crocodile, and even sharks. It's worth a look. In this episode, you'll find out why hippos are Africa's most dangerous herbivores and get a lot of useful and interesting information about these giants. Let's go! The hippo is an extremely dangerous animal. It should be called the menace of Africa. It's surprising that for all of its violent nature and frequent attacks on animals and people, the hippo is traditionally considered a herbivore animal. But in fact, this is not entirely true. According to the latest classification of scientists, the hippo can be called a facultative predator. That is, it sort of eats grass, but if an opportunity turns up, it won't mind a couple pieces of meat. Here's the first proof. A few years ago, tourists filmed a brutal scene in southern Africa. A hippo approaching a swimming kudu antelope and clamped it in its teeth. Considering that hippos' fangs can reach 25 inches and even more in length, it's not surprising that the antelope quickly died. The hippo dragged the body to the shore and wanted to eat it, but the African wild dogs prevented it. The pack took the hippo's prey, had a snack, and hid it in the bushes. And here's a more obvious example. In the Kruger National Park, a rather rare picture was filmed. A hippo eating the meat of an animal. The prey was a zebra. It's not known whether the hippo finished it off itself or whether it was already dead by the time the giant came to the pond, but now we can see for ourselves that hippos will not give up carrion on occasion. But still, they prefer grass to meat. They rarely turn into predators. In this footage, we have an antelope again. These African creatures are the most pitiable. They're always being hunted. This time, the antelope was hunted by African wild dogs. Fleeing from them, the poor creature climbed up on a small island in the middle of the pond, but a crocodile had already started to lay claim to the antelope. The antelope passed by the predator, jumped into the water, and swam toward the shore. The crocodile rushed after it, but a hippo appeared. The crocodile grabbed the antelope, the hippo attacked it, and then the trio plunged into the water. Seconds later, the hippo surfaced. No more reptile or antelope in sight. It's unknown what the hippo was after. Either it wanted to feed on the antelope or it wanted to save it, but apparently it failed to do either. The reptile got the dainty. It's possible that the hippo intended to rescue the antelope. These giants may well be called defenders of the savanna. Despite their violent temper and predatory nature, they often come to the aid of those in need. In fact, they do it not out of generosity and kindness, but only to drive away predators from their territory. But in doing so, they often indirectly save innocent creatures. Here we have a crocodile and an antelope again. The reptile firmly grabbed the herbivore by the paw and dragged it into the water. The confrontation lasted long. The antelope was already injured and exhausted, when suddenly, at the last moment, two hippos came to its aid. The 4-ton giants quickly chased the crocodile away and saved the antelope. They did a good job, but it didn't play much of a role. In all likelihood, the antelope soon died, for it had suffered a very severe injury that would have made it almost impossible for it to defend itself against the savanna predators. Cows. In general, crocodiles and hippos have a strained relationship. They often have to share the same territory because hippos spend a lot of time in the water where crocodiles live. Hippos and crocodiles can be called neighbors who dislike each other very much. It manifests itself in different ways. For example, in this case, hippos decided to teach crocodiles a lesson by taking away their prey. A group of cows came to the waterhole, and the crocodiles immediately responded to the ringing of their bells. 3 of the reptiles headed toward the cows. One of the cows was careless, and the crocodile quickly grabbed it and dragged it under the water. It would seem that dinner is served. But it wasn't easy. 2 hippos soon arrived at the scene. They purposefully swam after the crocodiles and their prey, pushing the predators away from the cow. As in the case of the antelope, it's unclear whether the hippos wanted to save the cow or eat it, but one thing is certain, the hippos succeeded in ruining the crocodile's meal. Rhino. The rhino is another huge African animal. The rhino and the hippo are similar in many ways. Both are large, both are herbivores, and both boast a complex character. But hippos have a slight advantage in this respect. These creatures are more dangerous than rhinos and can sometimes even compete with them. In this video, the rhino got too close to the hippo's territory, its favorite body of water. The hippo opened its signature mouth with 36 sharp teeth, clearly letting the beast know to get out as soon as possible. This didn't convince the rhino and it cost it its life. The hippo climbed out of the water, was joined by its congener, and they began to fight with the rhino. One of the hippos sank its giant fangs into the rhino. Their sharpness and the strength of the hippo's jaw are enough to pierce the skin even of such an armored tank as the rhino. Soon the rhino fell and the hippo finished it off in the water. Against the buffalo. The third African giant herbivore is the buffalo. Like the hippo and the rhino, it's very aggressive, large, and dangerous. But the hippo is much more aggressive and powerful. In this footage, we see the hippo encountering the buffalo by the river. The hippo did not like such an encounter. As in the case with the rhino, the giant opened its mouth and began to intimidate the buffalo. Apparently, buffalo, like rhinos, do not understand hints. So the hippo had to proceed to action and drive the insolent creature from its territory. The hippo pushed the buffalo to the river, and only then it realized that it had messed with the wrong opponent. The buffalo was smarter than the rhino from the previous video, did not continue to fight, and ran away, saving its life. Buffaloes and rhinos are certainly worthy opponents, but hippos need something tougher, like a real predator, like a crocodile. I've already shown how hippos ruin crocodiles' lives by stealing their prey from them, but now let's look at the one-on-one situation. The hippo crept up behind the crocodile in the water and started poking at it with its huge head. You can see that the reptile doesn't really want to fight and swims away, but the hippo won't budge and keeps poking at the crocodile. It swims farther and farther after it, giving it no time to rest. Even when the crocodile makes it out of the pond onto dry land, the hippo doesn't let up. It continues to pester it on land with some biting. Perhaps that hippo only wanted to have a go at the crocodile or learn a little about its neighbor in the pond. But sometimes hippos get into real fierce fights with crocodiles. This crocodile made a serious mistake of getting into a body of water where several dozen hippos were resting. The herbivores clearly didn't appreciate the intruder and decided to teach it a lesson. They did what they wanted with it, stomping, crushing, throwing, and biting. Only by some miracle, the crocodile was able to survive the humiliation and escape from the bloat of giants. At least, that's what the cameraman who shot this video thinks. However, maybe the last attack was fatal for the crocodile, and it never made it out of that body of water. Lioness. Not only crocodiles, but also lions have a go at the hippos. The kings of the jungle are some of the most amazing predators in Africa, which fear almost no one. They rarely attack hippos, but sometimes they do pester them. In this footage, we see a lioness approaching a resting hippo. It poked the giant with its muzzle, awakening it instantly. The hippo would not tolerate such behavior, ran after the lioness and grabbed it by its head. The lioness's head would have been gone in an instant. The hippo would have squeezed it like a watermelon. But the lioness had time to bite the hippo's mouth and it loosened its grip for a second. This was enough. The predator broke free and ran away from the most dangerous herbivore in Africa. In a sense, hippos can be called not only herbivores but also freshwater animals because they spend a lot of time in ponds and rivers. There they figure things out, not only with crocodiles but also with sharks. It sounds improbable, but this is the truth. The fact is that there is an unusual bull shark. Unlike its congeners, this predator swims not only in the salty seas and oceans, but also in freshwater rivers. Bad news for those who like to go to the river, but hippos don't mind even such dangerous neighbors. In this footage, the bull shark swam up to the hippo family. Apparently, it wanted to stealthily attack one of the giants, but miscalculated and just crashed into it with its head. This made the animals very angry. The hippos decided to teach the insolent creature a lesson and tried to hit it. The shark realized that it had messed with the dangerous guys and hurried to leave the territory. From all the previous videos, you can understand that hippos are very friendly. They live in bloats and hold each other up. But every team has conflicts, and hippos are no exception. Sometimes they fight with each other, and they do it very brutally. For example, here is a typical fight between two male hippos. As you can see, it all comes down to their open mouths pressing against each other. It may look like hippos are fooling around or kissing, but that's how they figure things out with each other. It's very important to hold the open mouth very firmly. The one which mouth slips first will be pierced with fangs. After a fight, hippos leave the battlefield with injuries, as happened in this case. But usually, such confrontations lead to the death of one of the males. Human. And lastly, let us look at least one hippo attack on a human. After all, hippos, not crocodiles, are considered the most dangerous large animals in Africa for humans. At least that's what the statistics say. Every year, hippos take the lives of at least 500 people. Crocodiles kill about half as many in the same period of time. Fortunately, this video was victimless, but not without damage. A driver was driving along the road in Kruger National Park in South Africa and ran into an obstacle, a hippo standing by the side of the road. As the car approached, the animal ran toward it and powerfully rammed the hood of the car. The driver screamed in horror. He was on the verge of death. It was a good thing he hadn't been injured himself, but look at what had become of his car. Only a real monster could have done that kind of damage. Now you understand why this particular beast is the most dangerous herbivore in Africa. That's all, guys. Would you like to see hippos in person? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.